In the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, the fate of your soul was decided by a scale. The ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead redefines sin in a way that has nothing to do with commandments and everything to do with the weighing of the heart and the 42 negative confessions. 42 sins. One of them, I have not blocked running water. Another, I have not eavesdropped. This was not a joke. This was not poetry. This was ancient law. And it determined whether your soul would exist or be erased forever. When we think of sin, we think of commandments, rules, prohibitions, divine anger. But in ancient Egypt, sin wasn't about disobeying a god. It was about destabilizing the universe. And the Egyptians believed the universe kept records. Inside the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a sacred funerary text placed in tombs for over 1,000 years, there is a ritual known as the weighing of the heart. It took place in a chamber called the Hall of Two Truths. There, your heart would be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the principle of cosmic balance that governed reality itself. If your heart was heavy, something waited. Not fire, not torture, something worse. We'll come back to that. But before the scale could even move, you had to speak. 42 declarations, known today as the 42 negative confessions, each one addressed to a different divine assessor. Not, I believe, not, I worship, but I have not. I have not stolen. I have not caused pain. I have not polluted the water. I have not stirred up strife. And suddenly, sin starts to look very different. Notice what's missing. There's no required belief, no demand for loyalty, no exclusive devotion. In fact, the Egyptian moral system wasn't centered on theology at all. It was centered on balance. The balance of crops, the balance of speech, the balance of relationships, the balance of thought.
The balance of thought.
They believed every action carried weight, and that weight didn't disappear. It settled in the heart. To the Egyptians, the heart wasn't symbolic. It was literal. The heart recorded everything, not just what you did, but intention, resentment, cruelty, jealousy. It all accumulated, which is why there was a spell in the Book of the Dead that begged the heart,
Do not stand as a witness against me.
Think about that. You weren't afraid of a god lying about you. You were afraid of yourself telling the truth. And if the heart told the truth, if the scale tipped, there was a creature waiting beside it. Part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus. She did not punish. She devoured. And once she did, there was no afterlife, no rebirth, no second chance, just erasure. So how did a civilization that built pyramids end up with a moral system more concerned with blocked water and gossip than divine obedience? To understand that, we have to understand Ma'at. In many modern religions, sin is rebellion. It is disobedience. It is breaking divine command. But the Egyptians saw morality differently. They believed the universe operated on a principle called Ma'at. Ma'at was truth. Ma'at was balance. Ma'at was harmony. It governed the stars. It governed the flooding of the Nile. It governed the stability of kings. It governed the human heart. To sin was not to offend a god. To sin was to disrupt cosmic equilibrium. And disruption had consequences, not because a deity was angry, but because imbalance spreads, like a crack in glass. When an Egyptian died, their soul entered the Hall of Two Truths. There stood Osiris, Lord of the afterlife. Anubis, the jackal-headed guide, led the deceased forward. and there waited the scale. The heart, seat of memory, intention, and character, was placed on one side. On the other, the feather of Ma'at, light as truth. If the heart was heavy with imbalance, it would tip the scale. And then came Amit, part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus, each animal chosen deliberately. The lion was strength. The crocodile was the ambush hidden beneath still water. The hippopotamus was the overturned boat, the trampled crop, destruction without malice. She was not a demon in the Christian sense. She had no agency, no will, no cruelty. She was simply what happened when the universe's gravity pulled imbalance toward oblivion. Her name means devourer of the dead. She sat beside the scale, waiting, not hungry, not eager, just present. In over 1,000 years of funerary texts, no spell is addressed to her. You could not pray to Amit. You could only avoid becoming her meal. She did not torture, she erased. The soul was devoured, not punished, unmade. For the Egyptians, the greatest fear was not hell, it was non-existence. Think of it like this. The universe was not random. It was an ecosystem, a vast, intricate web of cause and effect, where every ripple mattered. Every action created weight, every lie whispered in darkness.
The vizier plots against the pharaoh, swears secrecy.
Every cruel word spoken to a neighbor, every selfish act, every small injustice, every unkind thought, a heaviness. And that heaviness did not vanish. It accumulated in the heart, layering like sediment over centuries of choices. The Egyptians believed the heart recorded everything, not metaphorically, literally. Each memory, intention, and hesitation was etched into its flesh, registering truth with the precision of a cosmic ledger, which is why they feared one spell above all others. A spell begging the heart not to testify against its owner. Because in the end, you could not argue with yourself. There was no external judge inventing guilt. No forgiving deity would overlook imbalance. The heart told the truth, and the scale simply revealed it, impartial, merciless, and absolute. Even the smallest act, a glance that sowed envy, a withheld gesture of kindness, a stolen grain of wheat, tipped the scale. Balance was fragile, and every soul carried the burden of its own weight. Here is the radical shift. Sin was not an offense against a distant God. It was not rebellion nor disobedience, nor a failure to kneel or pray. It was a failure to uphold cosmic balance. Every small disruption, a harsh word, a selfish glance, a neglected duty, was a weight added to the heart. It was ecological, relational, and spiritual all at once. The Egyptians saw the world as a living network. Humans, animals, rivers, crops, even the stars were threads woven into the same tapestry of Ma'at. When one thread faltered, the whole pattern risked unraveling. This meant morality was not abstract, it was concrete, practical, immediate. Even seemingly trivial actions could tip the scale. Withholding water from a neighbor, spreading gossip.
The time has come. Ra grows weak.
The temples are full of his lies. Then we act now, before it's too late.
Turning a blind eye to injustice. All of it mattered. And every day, without knowing, every human's heart was recording these choices, accumulating invisible weight. The most terrifying part? The judgment was not future-bound. It was happening continuously, internally. Your heart, the witness to your own life, could betray you at the moment of death. There was no forgiveness after the fact. No ritual could erase what had been done. Only alignment, only harmony, only balance could keep the heart light. In the Egyptian moral universe, living well was not about avoiding punishment. It was about survival itself. The survival of the self, and the survival of the world you touched. Imagine the hall once more, silent, dark, vast. The scale sits at the center, golden and immaculate. On one side, your heart, weighed down by a lifetime of choices, each memory and intention etched into it. On the other, a single feather of Ma'at, impossibly light, glowing faintly in the dim torchlight. No words are spoken, no prayers can alter its balance. The feather does not judge, it does not punish, it only reveals. And in its revelation lies the truth, that morality was never about obedience. It was about harmony. Every act, large or small, every kindness, every cruelty, every ripple sent into the world had been recorded. Every withheld word, every moment of envy, every act of generosity, it had weight. The heart cannot hide, it cannot deceive. Even the smallest imbalance is exposed. And yet, there is hope. The scale rewards alignment. The lightest hearts rise unburdened. And in that simple contrast, the Egyptians taught a lesson that echoes through millennia. Sin is not about rules, it is about disruption. Balance is everything. The feather floats, the heart rests, and the silence is eternal, yet alive. A reminder that every choice matters, every day.